Good morning. We're going to work through your homework worksheet, 3 of the problems together. Today's focus is on multi-step equations. So on the equation temperature check, you guys are pretty good with 1 step and 2 steps, so we're going to jump right into multi-step equations. I'm going to pick 3 to do with you. On your worksheet, you have, I think there's 15 to 17 questions. So when you get to these 3, you can look back at the video and just look at the answers and fill them in. When you work through these problems, you need to make sure that you're showing all your steps. Again, eventually these are going to get a little bit harder. They're going to have fractions in them. So showing the work is key. When you're solving an equation, I always treat the equal sign like a fence. So I need to see on both sides of the fence what you're doing. So if I'm working through number 3, the first thing I'm going to recognize is that this 4 is outside the parentheses. So using the distributive property, I'm going to have to multiply the 4 times everything in the parenthesis. So I don't do anything with the 7 right now. I just drop that down. And 4 times 2a is 8a. And 4 times 15 is 60. There's multiple things that you can do right here, but if you guys can get used to combining like terms on one side of the equal sign, then your life will be easier as you get into high school and these problems get a lot harder. So we are going to combine the 7 and the 60, and we're going to make this 8a plus 67 equals negative 13, and now we're down to a 2-step equation. So I can subtract 67 from both sides. That cancels out, and I have 8a equals negative 80. And then I divide both sides by 8 because undoing multiplication is division. The 8 divided by 8 is 1, which we don't usually write. So we're just left with a equals negative 10. And that's our final answer. All the work you see here is the work that I would expect to see you do. I know that you can do some of this in your head, but again, we have to get you showing the work so that when these problems get harder, you know the process. So that's what we're learning here, the process, along with solving for the variable. On number 9, we have a negative that's outside our parentheses. Well, anytime you have anything next to the parentheses, there's multiplication going on. So I have to distribute this negative, which is the same thing as distributing a negative 1, if you'd like to put that number there. So again, I don't do anything with the 16D, I drop it down, and I'm going to distribute the negative 1 to 4, which is negative 4, and the negative 1 to negative 5D, which is positive 5D, and that equals negative 67. So here's my equal sign. I'm going to start working on both sides of the fence to undo things, but before I start, again, I want to combine like terms. So I have 2 terms on the left side of the equal sign that have a D in them. So I am going to combine 16D plus 5D, which is 21D, minus 4 equals negative 67. Now, some of you said, why didn't you add 4 to both sides in that last step? You could have. So sometimes there's more than one thing you can do to solve the problem, but you need to make sure that you are just comfortable with the process no matter how it's presented to you. I'm left with a 2-step equation. So in 2-step equations, we need to undo addition or subtraction first. So we are subtracting 4 on the left side, which means to undo that, we will add 4 to both sides. And that leaves us with 21D equals negative 63. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 21. And that leaves me with D equals negative 3. So again, watch your signs. You have a negative divided by a positive, which gives me a negative in the final answer. So all that integer work that you guys are working on throughout summer school pays off when you're solving equations. Last but not least, with number 15. Again, there's lots of things that you could do to start this problem. But what I am going to do first is clear my fraction. So I'm going to get rid of the negative 5/6 rather than distribute it. I'm going to look at this and say, all right, when I look at this problem, I see a divided by 6 right here. So what I can do to undo that is I can multiply both sides by 6, because that's the same thing as 6/1, and then those 6's cancel, and when they cancel, they're gone on that side. So I'm left with negative 5 parentheses 9 plus 2x. So I multiplied both sides by 6, but that canceled for me. So I need to make sure that I don't distribute right now. And on the other side, that equals 240. So now I can see that negative 5 is being multiplied, because negative 5 is by the parentheses. So I could distribute here, but I'm going to show you a different method. I can also divide by negative 5. So I'm showing you how to solve this problem without distributing. Now, can you do this problem by using the distributive property? Absolutely. So we get 9 plus 2x equals negative 48, and now we can solve this problem. So I can subtract 9 from both sides because I always want to undo addition or subtraction first, and I get 2x equals negative 57, and then I divide both sides by 2. And we're not using calculators here, so we're just going to reduce, and 2 goes into 57 not evenly, right? So we are just going to leave our answer as negative 57 halves. We're going to leave it as an improper fraction. We could write it as negative 28.5, but I don't need you to do that right now. I'm okay with you just leaving the answer as is. So you guys need to go onto Canvas, get onto the world's most expensive college worksheet, and work through that today and upload it. Thanks. Email me if you have any questions.